Okay, so today we're going to take a look at object snaps in AutoCAD. Object snaps are useful drawing aids that we can use as we're putting together our two-dimensional drawings in AutoCAD. I'm not going to go over all of these. They all have their place and they all have their purpose. I'm going to go over the major ones that we're going to use a lot in this class. And then as we progress through to other classes, we'll end up talking about some of the other ones when it's more relevant to us. So the ones we're going to talk about today are going to be endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, intersection, and perpendicular. And so first off, I'm going to show you how to turn on object snaps and then how to turn them on and off as you're drafting. So the first thing is go down to your toolbar along the bottom of AutoCAD and make sure that everything is turned off except if you want the grid turned on, that's fine, and then turn object snaps on. And these are just toggles. You click them once, they turn on. You click them again, they turn off. So you'll know it's on when it's got a blue shaded background. And then so once you have object snaps turned on, go ahead and right click on that actual icon and just go to settings. And settings will take you into this dialog box where you can then turn on and off your object snaps. So for instance, we're going to go over endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, intersection, and perpendicular. So go ahead and turn all those on and then hit OK. For object snaps to work, we first have to have some elements drawn in AutoCAD. And so we're just going to go in here and quickly draw a couple lines, and you can just draw them anywhere to any length. Just make sure that you've got at least two lines that form an intersection like this area right in here. And then also we're going to draw some circles. So just click on circle, and again, just draw these at random. Just come up to some area and draw a circle, hit enter to rerun that circle command, and again, just click on 2 points to just draw a circle. And you can do that a third time, just so we've got some elements on our drawing screen that we can work with, that we can practice using our object snaps with. Okay, once you have those drawn, then we can start looking at those individual object snaps. So I'm going to zoom into one of my lines here, and I'm just going to click on the line command. And so the first one that we look at, we've had a lot of experience with it, and that's the endpoint object snap. Anytime I get close to an endpoint, AutoCAD will snap to that endpoint. So if I wanted to draw a line exactly from that endpoint of that line going off over to the left, I can go ahead and when I have that little square showing up, left click at that location and then go ahead and draw my line, and I can continue clicking points. When I'm done, I can hit escape, and when I zoom in on that corner where I initially put this line, zoom in, and you can tell that that line, those two lines are connected by that other line's endpoint. Okay, another option that we had in there was midpoint. So if I click on line again, and if I get anywhere close to the middle of a line, I'm going to get a little triangle, and that little triangle is going to be snapping to the midpoint of that line. And so you'll notice that anytime you get anywhere close to the midpoint, that your object that you're creating is going to go ahead and snap to that midpoint. So here I have my little triangle turned on. If I go ahead and left click, now this new line that I'm creating is attached to the midpoint of that line. So I can go ahead and draw that line off of there. Okay, now we can go ahead and look at a couple others. We'll go ahead and start our line command again. Anytime that I have an intersection that I want to start drawing from or attach a line or a circle to, anytime I get close to two lines that intersect, I'll get a little X that's going to show up. When I left click, when that X is showing, my line or whatever element that I'm creating is going to snap to that point. So it's going to pick up that intersection and allow me to draw from that spot. And then finally, the last one is perpendicular. So for a line, I can go ahead and draw another line. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to pick up the midpoint of this line and say I wanted to draw it perpendicular to this other line. So anytime I get close to that line, it's going to snap and create a line that's perpendicular to that line. And so again, that object snap that you saw there was perpendicular. And so I'm going to pick up this point here and draw it perpendicular to this line. And so it shows up like a little, it's got a little vertical line, a horizontal line, and then a little box that forms in the corner to show that you're making a 90-degree angle to that line. So if I were to go ahead and dimension this, and dimension this angle, my angle here is going to show up to be exactly 90 degrees. It made it perpendicular to the line that I selected on. Alright, so that's it for our object snaps on our lines. We have some object snaps that are just for curves, just for circles. So again, if we come up here and click on our line command, we come up to our circle, and if we get around the outside of our circle, that's going to wake up our center point. So you get out along the outside of the circle, and then you move close to the center, and whenever you get a little object snap that's a little circle, that's snapping to the center of that circle. So you can go ahead and click there and then draw your line as you would need to. If we go ahead and repeat our line command again, another one that we have is Quadrant. Anytime we get close to one of our 4 quadrants on a circle, it's going to snap to that quadrant. Our quadrant object snap looks like a little diamond, and so there's 4 of them. One on the left, there's one on the top, there's one on the right side, and then there'll be one on the bottom. So again, we can, once we have that little diamond showing up, we can click there, move away, and click again, and we've attached this line that we just created to that bottom quadrant of this circle. There are other object snaps in AutoCAD. They're just used much less often. Those are the popular ones and the ones that I believe a drafter would use a lot throughout the course of a day even. And again, just in summary, if you go down and right click on your object snaps, go to settings, those object snaps were endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, intersection, and then perpendicular.